Namaskaram all. Good evening. Subham, you are the first one today. Can you show your cam and start narrating your story?
Yes, uncle. Hello everyone, I am Sriya Sahu. Today I am going to narrate a story. The title of my story is Robert Bruce and Spider. Robert Bruce,
Subham, take it slowly. Narrate very slowly. Okay?
Robert Bruce was the king of Scotland under the rule of English king. He wanted to make Scotland a free country. He fought many battles but was defeated, many by his enemy. He fled from the battlefield and hid himself in a cave. His cave to save his life. He had no more courage to fight another battle. In the cave, the king saw a spider. The spider was hanging with a thin thread. It it was about to reach its web when it fell to the ground. He tried again and again to climb up, but to reach its web and every time it failed. But it did not give up its efforts. At last, it succeeded in reaching a lesson from the spider. He, the king gathered his lost courage and learned a lesson from the spider. He gathered his army once again. He decided to in defeating his enemy. The moral of the story is try again and again, again until you succeed. Thank you.
Very nice, Shubham. So similarly, try to go very slow. Okay, Shubham? We are no hurry. Just go very slow, very slow, very slow. Okay, and then we'll pick up the speed. Thank you, Shubham. That's a nice story. Try and try and try and try until you succeed. Nice. Next we have Harshit, the eagle and the tortoise.
Good evening, all of you. My name is Harshit. I am narrating a story. The title of the story is The Tortoise and the Eagle. One day, a tortoise was lazing. One day, a young tortoise was lazing around the river bank, looking at the birds flying high in the sky. He thought loudly, I wish I could fly like those birds, high up in the sky. Nearby, a eagle was sitting on a stone and listening what tortoise was thinking loud, and said, Why do you want to fly? The tortoise said, I wish I could fly like those birds, high up in the sky. I don't want to crawl. I only want to fly. The eagle said, What will you give me in return if I make you to fly? The tortoise said, I will give you rich of gold from the Red Sea. The eagle agreed and took him high up in the sky. The tortoise was enjoying. He saw beautiful scenery of the world. After some time, he dropped him on the ground and said, Give me my treasure. The tortoise replied, There is no treasure. I am just kidding about the gold, so that you can take me for a ride. And went. The eagle was upset and wanted to teach him a lesson. One morning, the eagle went to the tortoise and said, Can you come for a ride? The tortoise said, Yes, I love it. The eagle took him again high up in the sky. The tortoise was enjoying. Suddenly the eagle lose his claws. The tortoise was falling down, screaming for help. He crashed on the ground with thud. He thought, "This is my shell saved my life. Thankful to the God what I blessed with." The moral of this he learned her lesson. The moral of the story is one should think about consequences before one wishes something. Thank you.
బ్యూటిఫుల్లీ నరేటెడ్ హర్షిత్, చాలా బాగా చెప్పావు, సూపర్ గా చెప్పావు. ఓకే, యాక్షన్స్ చేయాలి ఇంకా. ఓకే, బర్డ్ ఫ్లూ అలాగా. ఓకేనా, నెక్స్ట్ టైం. వెరీ నైస్, వెరీ గుడ్, బ్యూటిఫుల్. దెన్ వి హావ్ Sarvan.
No, uncle. Just a
Yes,
second.
yes sir.
Uncle, am I visible?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Krishna Sharvan. Today, I am going to narrate a story. The title of my story is The Merchant of Venice. Long ago, in the city of Venice, in Italy, there was a noble businessman called Antonio. He's a very wealthy and kind-hearted person. Antonio had a best friend, Bassanio, a handsome young man. Bassanio wanted to marry a young, beautiful girl, Portia. Portia is from a very rich family. Her father has put certain conditions for men to be eligible for marrying his daughter. Bassanio needed money for it. As Bassanio was not rich, he went to his friend Antonio for help. Unfortunately, at the time, all the money of Antonio was stuck up in trade. He was waiting for his ships to return. But he didn't want to disappoint his young friend. So he decided to borrow some money from a moneylender called Shylock. Shylock is a cruel moneylender in the city of Venice. He was infamous for his notorious ways of taking money from his borrowers who couldn't repay in time. Antonio and Bassanio went to Shylock and asked for the money they needed. And Shylock happily agreed for it and agreed for it. Antonio said, "I would return the money with interest within 3 months." Shylock said, "What if you didn't?" Then Antonio said, "You only tell me, what should I do in that case?" Then Shylock said, "I will take a pound of flesh from your body." He prepared a bond and took the signature of Antonio on it. On the other hand, Bassanio's story ended well. He succeeded on marrying Portia, thanks to Antonio for his timely help. But fate has other plans. 3 months' time was over, but Antonio's ships didn't return. Cruel Shylock wanted to repay immediately, but Antonio didn't have money and was explaining his situation. Cruel Shylock demanded the money. The matter went to the king's court. Just then, Bassanio's young wife, Portia, disguised as a lawyer and came to Antonio's rescue. She argued that, as per bond, Shylock can take a pound of flesh from Antonio's body, but nowhere in the bond it is mentioned as he can take a single drop of blood. So he can take a pound of flesh without taking a single drop of blood. Shylock was stunned by this logic and accepted his defeat. Thank you.
Very nice, Sharon. Good story. Logic. Nice.
Can I
And
add something?
yes, please.
Actually, there was going to be a Shakespeare program type thing in which almost all the Shakespeare written famous stories were going to be compiled. So me and a few friends had got this story since we had it as a non-detailed book. And guess which character was I? I was Shylock.
It suits you.
But it never happened.
Yeah, I know. Rishitha is also there in that, right? At the end. Is that the
Yeah,
same?
yeah. Yeah, the same.
Nice, nice, nice.
Great, Sharvan, great.
Good, good. Thank you, Mansa. Thank you, Sarvan. We move to the next. Next is my dear daughter. Could you switch off the light that is behind you? Because we can't see you with that light. You don't have to switch off the video. Switch off the light.
That light is success that is shining behind her.
Yes, yes. మా రిషితమ్మా వెళ్ళిపోయావా లైట్ ఆఫ్ మంట ఇప్పుడు బెటర్గా ఉంది కొంచెం దించమ్మా మీ మొహం కనిపిస్తుంది మాకు నవ్ వీ కెన్ సీ యూ బెటర్ ఓకే ప్లీజ్ అన్మ్యూట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ అండ్ స్టార్ట్ ది స్టోరీ ప్లీజ్
Good evening. The title of my story is The Silkies. Long, long ago, there were Silkies. And what are Silkies? Silkies are seal people.
What is seal?
What?
What is seal? The animal?
It's a kind of sea animal.
Okay, okay. Oh, seal people means the people who live on seals, is it?
No, I didn't explain that yet. Seal people means people who can turn into seals and seals which can turn into people. These seal people are called Silkies. So these seal people, when they were in their seal form, they could remove their brown blanket-like skin. And when they removed it, they turned into humans. And when again they wrapped themselves with that skin, they could turn back into seals. Now let's go into the story. Once in the seashore lived a young couple, John and Claire. They both longed for children, but they had none. One day there was a huge storm, and the couple was stuck inside their house. They were scared that the high waves would carry their cottage away. It was pelting with rain, and strong winds were blowing. But when the rain finally stopped and the wind stopped blowing too strongly, John went out to see what the storm had brought. He searched and searched around, but he did not find anything. And then suddenly he could hear a baby crying. So he followed the voice and came to a small girl child. And beside her was a thick brown blanket-like sealskin. At once John understood that this baby girl was a Silkie. He understood that it was a Silkie child, but he decided that he would not tell anybody that it was a Silkie child.
He quickly took the sealskin, hid it in his pocket, and took the baby girl to their cottage. He said to Claire, "Hey Claire, look what the storm has brought. A baby girl. Completely abandoned baby girl, that too. Look what a beautiful child." Claire was overjoyed. She decided to look after the baby girl. So they named her Morgana and looked after her well. As a child, she laughed and laughed and laughed all the time when she wasn't asleep. But as she grew up, she longed to go to the sea and wouldn't even utter a word. Claire could sense that Morgana was sad and disappointed. She wondered why Morgana was so sad and disappointed, but she couldn't find the reason. She knew that Morgana longed to go to the sea. But Morgana was near the sea all the time when she wasn't asleep or eating her food. How could she still be disappointed? Claire couldn't understand. And soon, there wasn't a single day when they weren't being washed by seals. They used to go out of the house. Thousands of seals would be watching them go about. And then a thought struck Claire. What if Morgana was a Selkie? So one day while walking along with John, she said, "Hey, I think Morgana is no mortal child. I feel she's a Selkie." John, who knew his wife's suspicion was right, thought that his wife had found the seal skin which he had hidden under the trunk, in a trunk under a few blankets. But then he understood that his wife had not found it because she was only asking him if Morgana was a Selkie. So John quickly said, "No, that isn't possible. If she was indeed a Selkie, why didn't any seal come yet to fetch her?" Claire sighed and pointed to the seals. John looked and saw hundreds and thousands of seals watching them. Then Claire asked him, "Okay, now tell me, what else did you find the night you found Morgana?" John lied to her, saying, "Well, nothing much, just a couple of conch shells and Morgana." And he went off to his fishing boat before Claire could ask him any more questions. Soon, one day, Claire, who was trying to clean John's room, found a trunk hidden at a corner of the room. "What treasures have we here?" she wondered. And she opened the trunk. She found blankets crammed in the trunk. So she took out the blankets to fold them. She was folding the blankets, and when she took out the last blanket, she found the seal skin of Morgana. And she quickly understood that John had been lying to her about Morgana. She understood that Morgana was a Selkie and this was her seal skin. She quickly wrapped the sealskin
around Morgana. She took Morgana to the sea and kissed her goodbye. Morgana happily turned into a seal and without looking back went off to join the seals. Claire was so sad. She sat at the seashore and cried. 7 tears fell into the sea. Now it so happened that Morgana was the child of the king of Selkies. And he, the king of Selkies, knew the pain of losing children. So he thought, 7 children for 7 tears. And soon the couple's house was full of children. 3 girls and 4 boys. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishitha. So the title is Selkie. That's what you told me. I forgot to give it to Manasa. I'm sorry about that. Then we have Anisha, the giving Anisha.
Can I start?
Yes, Anisha.
So this is so good morning, good evening. My name is Anisha. I'm studying in class 4. So the title of my story is The Giving Tree. Once upon a time, there was a tree. It loved a little boy. It loved a little boy. Every day the boy would visit the tree and enjoy its company. The tree would always say, "Come here, my boy, and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches." Boy, swimming from the branches. He said, "How fun! I would love to do that every day." Then the tree would ask, "Are you hungry? Eat my apples." The tree would say, "How delicious!" When the boy was tired, he slept under the tree. The tree was happy to give its shade. But time went by. The boy grew up older and went away. The tree alone after was often alone. After some years, one day the boy came to the tree and the tree was very happy. The tree again said, "Come, my boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches." The boy then said, "I am too big to climb and play. I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me money?" The tree said, "I'm sorry, but I have no money. I have only leaves and my apples." "Ah, you can pluck my apples and sell them in the market. Then you will have money." The boy happily picked the apples and carried them away. The tree was also happy. The boy stayed away for a long time and the tree was sad. One day the boy came back and the tree shook with joy. The tree again said, "Come, my boy, come and climb up my trunk, swing from my branches, eat my apples, and play in my shade." The boy said, "I'm too busy to climb up trees. I'm getting married and I need a house for my wife and children. Can you give me a house?" The tree said, "I have no house, but Look, I cut my branches and build a house. So the boy cut off trees' branches and carried them away to build a house. The tree was very happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad again. And when he came back after some years, the tree was so happy that he could hardly speak. Now, the boy was a young man. The tree again said, "Come, my boy, come, what can I do for you?" The young man said, "I am going to a business trip. I want a boat to take me away. Can you give me a boat?" The tree said, "All I have is a trunk. You can cut down my trunk and make a boat. Then you can sail away." The young man cut the trunk of the tree and sailed away in a boat. The tree was left alone with a stump, and after a long time the young man came back again. Now he was an old man, but the tree recognized him. The tree then said, "I'm sorry, friend, but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." Then the old man said, "My teeth are too weak for apples." The tree said, "My branches are gone. You can't swing on them." The old man said, "I'm too old to swing on branches." Then the tree said, "My trunk is gone. I cannot climb." The old man said, "I am too tired to climb." The tree said, sighing, "I am sorry. I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I'm sorry." The old man said, "Dear tree, you were always given, but now I don't need much. I just a quiet place to sit and rest." The tree said happily, "Well, an old stumper is good for sitting and resting on. Come, friend, sit down and rest." The old man did, and the tree was still happy. Thank you.
I wish you switched on your video before even when narrating the story. Beautifully narrated, Anisha.
Thank
Maybe
you.
I should say beautifully narrated. I could not say like you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Next we have your sister Aditi. Short movies. Aditi,
So,
are you there? Aditi,
yeah.
can you see you? You want to see the expressions in your face while narrating.
So good evening, everyone. And today I'm going to tell a story, and the title of my story is Macbeth.
Aditi, slow it down. Slow it down. Okay? Slowly.
So there was a king. So once there was a king named Duncan in Scotland, and he was at a war with the king of Norway. Many of his soldiers and princes were also there, and one of his ministers named Macbeth with one of his best friends, Bonco, was also there. And then when the war completed and when the war was ended and when Scotland won the war, Macbeth and his friend were returning home. On their way back, they met three witches. The first witch greeted Macbeth by telling him the Thane of Cawdor. The second witch greeted Macbeth by saying him the King of Scotland, and the third witch greeted his friend Banquo by telling him the father of the King of Scotland. Macbeth thought that the witches were just joking, as the Thane of Cawdor was still alive, and he was not in position of becoming the King of Scotland. And when he returned to Scotland, he was announced. He was made the
he has made the Thane of Cawdor as the Thane of Cawdor has committed a crime and he was no longer in position of the Thane. And so Macbeth thought that, and then Macbeth thought that those other two prophecies were also true. As then he wanted to become the king. He told his wife about the whole prophecy thing, and his wife told to him, "If you want to become the king of Scotland, you have to murder the king first. Then only you can be able to become the king." So Macbeth's wife called the king and two of his sons to his to her home and commanded Macbeth to murder all of them. Macbeth murdered the king Duncan, but his two sons escaped. And then there was a bodyguard over there, and then he made the bodyguard, and then he poured some of the king's blood on the bodyguard, and in the morning he told that the bodyguard was responsible for the king's murder, and then he sentenced the bodyguard to death too. So now Macbeth had become the king, and only the one more prophecy had, and only he thought it, but he wanted his sons to become the king. But the witches had said that Banquo's son would become the king. So now Macbeth wanted to murder his best friend Banquo, and then he hired some murderers and he invited Banquo to his palace. On his way, when Banquo was coming with his son, the murderers murdered Banquo, but his son escaped. Meanwhile, in another city named Fife, there was the Thane of Fife named Macbeth. He was an old enemy of Scotland, and now Macbeth wanted to kill Macbeth. So now Macbeth had become the king, and Banquo had also died, but he did not know that Banquo's son was still alive. And after a few days, he wanted to know more about his future. So he summoned the three witches. The witches showed Macbeth three prophecies. The first one warned him against Macbeth. The second one told him that he should not fear any man born from a woman, and the third witch warned him that he would only fall when the wood next to his castle, which was known as Birnam Wood, would start coming closer. Macbeth thought that the second and the third prophecy were impossible, that all the men are born from a woman, and how can a forest move? And so he was fear-free. And after a few days, Macbeth's wife started suffering from sleepwalking and other brain disorders. A doctor came and observed her symptoms, and then he told her she cannot be saved. And then she also reveals that she had murdered someone by saying that all the time that she cannot wash her hands clean of blood stains. Now Macbeth was too worried that he himself went and murdered his wife before she said something else. Now Macbeth had taken many lives just for him to become the king. And taking the witch's second prophecies in good faith, Macbeth believed that nobody could kill him. But before his wife had died, the king's son and Macbeth had planned to attack Macbeth. So the king's son instructed every soldier to cut a branch and trees from the Birnam Wood and hold it up as disguise, so that Macbeth would not be able to know that they were moving towards him. And now Macbeth's servant had noticed that the wood was moving closer. So Macbeth, so Macbeth saw that his death was coming. He too planned for a war, and then there was a battle. In battle, Macbeth killed many people, and then at last Macbeth challenged Macbeth. As they fought, Macbeth told that he was not a woman born, but he was untimely raped of his mother's womb. Macbeth was stunned, but still he refuses to yield Macbeth. Macbeth killed him, and Macbeth killed Macbeth. And then the son of the king was claimed the new king of Scotland. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. Nice story. We move to the designer of the poster for this week, Sree Manasa. Thank you, Manasa. Poster is really good.
Please mention that. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. So, since we all celebrated virtual Teachers' Day yesterday, and I try to keep my stories connected to the occasions that we celebrate, I would like to narrate the story of one of the greatest teachers of India, that is Chanakya, or also called Kautilya. So Chanakya was born in 375 BC. Sorry. Now you can imagine how long back that was. So he was born in a Brahmin family. His father's name was Rishi Kanak. That means Acharya Kanak. So basically, you are not born with teeth, right? Do you have teeth when you are born? No, right? So there was a twist with Chanakya. He was born with two canines. Chanakya, when he was born, he had two canines. So according to those days ka superstitions, the people who are born with teeth go on to become kings. And Chanakya's father didn't want that. So he pulled out Chanakya's teeth. Okay. So Chanakya's father, who was Acharya himself, taught him many Vedas, and he went on to become very intelligent. He joined the prestigious universities of that time, which is the University of Takshashila or the University of Taxila. And during his studies there, he was interested in economy and politics. But he never much of kind of got into it. So he went on to become a professor in the same university. But then when he heard the news of King Alexander of Greece was likely to attack India and try to conquer it, Chanakya didn't want that. He never wanted a foreign invasion. So he decided that he would do something. So he went to one of the biggest kingdoms of that time was the Nanda kingdoms, whose capital was Pataliputra, which is present-day Patna. Okay, so when he went there, he joined the court of King Dhananand, who was the king that time. So when he joined, he saw that the ministers of King Dhananand were taking taxes, very high taxes from the people, and people couldn't do anything that time, right? They were powerless kind of. So Chanakya decided that he would object to this. So he went to the king himself and was trying to explain him. Now Dhananand was not a good listener. He was a very arrogant king. So he got angry at this, like he was trying to correct his own ministers, and then he insulted Chanakya. He also insulted about his ugliness. So Chanakya grew very angry. So then Chanakya walked out of the court and he started to walk out of the city. At the outskirts of the city, walking and he hit his leg to a small shrub. So since he was very angry that time, he said he started to remove that shrub, to kill that shrub. Then a boy in the neighborhood who was playing there came and asked him, "Sir, can I help you in any way?" So Chanakya said, "Yes, please remove this shrub for me." After some time, when that boy came to Chanakya and said, "Sir, the shrub is removed," Chanakya went and saw that the child did not only remove the shrub but uprooted it from the root. That means that shrub will never ever grow forever. It will never grow. So Chanakya saw a peculiar thing in that boy and he was very fascinated with it. So when he went on to know the details of that boy, he came to know that he was the grandson of Mahanand, who was the father of Dhananand. So he was kind of the great grandfather of the Nand dynasties. So since Chanakya himself wanted to take revenge, he thought, okay, now I can combine, like collaborate with this boy. And this boy had been driven away by the Nandas. So Chanakya went on to teach this boy. Now I think you would have realized who this boy is. This boy is the first emperor of India, that is Emperor Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, so when Chandragupta was trained by Chanakya, and he gave him a lot of knowledge. He trained him how to ride a horse, how to do sword fighting, how to ride a elephant, and they all start. And Chanakya, Chandragupta Maurya, and a small army of people went to attack Pataliputra, which was the capital. But they lost. They lost many wars, but they never gave up hope. So one day when Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya were sitting behind a cottage in a village in disguise, they heard a mother say, "You are acting like an idiot, like Chandragupta Maurya. You are trying to eat the cake from the center." Then Chanakya realized, yes, I'm doing a mistake. We should start conquering from the sides, but not go and attack the center. So then Chanakya, Chandragupta Maurya, and his small army of people started to conquer from the outskirts of the city. So finally they reached Pataliputra, they killed Dhananand, and they took over the Maurya, the kingdom. So from then on, it was called the Maurya kingdom. Okay, so under Chandragupta Maurya's rule, the kingdom went bigger, 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 bigger. It started to expand. So during this expansion process, Chanakya felt that the kingdom should run on some policies, but not on sudden thoughts of kings and his ministers. So he started to establish a few policies, and these he started to write down in a book which is called the Niti Shastra, which is even famous till date. Okay, so some book which was written some thousands of years ago is still very famous. That is the greatness of Chanakya. He was very wise. So after that, Chandragupta Maurya married, and then an interesting fact is Chanakya gave Chandragupta Maurya small amounts of poison. Now you will be thinking, why is he giving him poison? He's trying to kill him or what? No. If his enemies try to give him poison, that time already antibodies are there in Chandragupta's body. His immunity will fight it. Like now we need immunity for corona. So he can fight the poison. So one day, and even Chandragupta didn't know this that Chanakya gave him like this. So one day when Chandragupta shared his food with the queen, that is his wife, she went almost to the deathbed. She was going to die. So when Chanakya heard this, he rushed to the palace and he saw the dead mother. But with a small ray of hope, he cut open her womb, that means the stomach, and he saw a baby. When he took out that baby, he saw that the baby was in a blue color. That means very light blue. That means the poison was reaching him. So he quickly took out the baby, he took out the poison out of the baby, and then the baby was healthy. So Chanakya named Chandragupta Maurya's son, who is Bindusara. Bindu meaning a drop, and Sara means strength. That means the whole word meaning strength of a drop. So then even Bindusara was under the influence of Chanakya. He also started to conquer many empires, and all of the, and his empire grew bigger and bigger. Almost all of India is his empire, is the Maurya Empire. So now I have a question for you all. I would like you to unmute yourself and tell me who is the son of Bindusara. He is a very popular king. Yes, Surya uncle? SEM community? Yeah, Rishitha. Wait, we'll give a chance to Rishi. Rishi?
Ashoka?
Is
Yes.
King Ashok?
Yes, correct. It is King Ashoka. Okay, he was the one who first led the fight, but then later he adopted peace after the Kalinga War. So now, who all are studying in Ramnath Secondary School, when you go to 7th class, you will have a chapter about Chandragupta Maurya and his dynasties. So that time you will have a small video clip of Ashoka. Okay. That video clip is so fascinating that we used to request our social sir, Paparo sir, to play it repeated number of times. So I hope you enjoy this video clip. Thank you, everyone.
Very nice, Manasa. Very nice. Thank you.
Very nice, Manasa.
Thank you, uncle.
Yeah, I think with that, I think we completed today's session. Guys, please, kids, please keep reading books every day, half an hour at least. Some story apart from your academics, okay? It could be anything. Okay? Fine then. That's all for today. Say bye-bye and we leave. Bye. Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.